With one more suspect eliminated, you feel that you're beginning to...
With my life or death, I can save you. I will.
I am Arwen, Elrond's daughter.
I will go and look on the halls of Durin.
My arrow flies!
We want revenge for Ratchet!
Take that!
He cannot stand alone!
difficult there.
For Rivendell!
He'll get you for what happened to the boss!
Stand alone!
My arrow flies.
Baruch Khazar!
He cannot stand alone! I serve no man!
For Rivendell!
I serve no man!
Hammer and tongs!
I serve no man!
You've wandered into some trouble.
Baruch Khazar!
What's yours is mine.
He cannot own!
That one's for Ratchet.
You breathe so loud, I'll shoot you in the dark.
For Rivendell!
Serve no man!
For Rivendell!
Baruch Khazar!
He cannot stand alone! I serve no man!
You've now eliminated all suspects save one. Todd the Troll, so called because of his enormous stature and great strength. You tell your suspicions to Barlaam Butterbur, and he concurs.
Makes sense.
He nods.
He's a brute and not slow to violence. You'll find him hanging about in Archet by the trading post there. Careful though, he usually has a bunch of equally tough fellas about with him.
You take the trail north and east to Archet, which lies at the edge of the Chetwood, and find the trading post easily enough. Todd the Troll is a giant of a man, surrounded by assorted ruffians almost his stature.
Yeah, I killed him. You think you can do something about it?
Todd admits almost casually. He cracks his enormous knuckles, which seems to be the signal his men were waiting for. They rise and surround you. You're resolved to bring Todd to justice, but it will not be easy.
What are you looking at? What's all this?
We survived this. I'm coming after you, Bernie.
You can't pin anything on me. And don't forget what I know.
Farewell.
I serve the steward of God. Hammer and tongs! I serve no man. For Gondor!
I'm done.
serve no man.
Nothing passes unnoticed.
Serve no man.
What have you got there? Got no.
Fernie cried arms. You've confirmed the murderer and apprehended them, but you suspect is involved, and likely armed. The murderer looks down at the ground, tight-lipped. You must have some sort of hold on them to ensure their silence. Bree had existed since the fall of Cardlin without any kind of central authority, so upon returning to the towners, the townsfolk forms a council of prominent locals to decide their fate. The murderer is made to surrender their belongings, Bree never to return, to leave the authority beyond the town. There's no risk. You search Fernie's home, but cannot find the missing items. Without any hard evidence, Fernie manages to get off with only a fine for nuisance. However, you manage to uncover a letter hidden under a loose board which reveals that more is afoot here than you first thought.
Bill's hidden letter reads, "Find the stolen items and return them to the excavation Barrow Downs immediately. V is waiting just outside of Bree to bring them back as soon as you have them." That gang stirred up the hornet's nest when they made off with the items we recovered so far. We'll make sure they get theirs. We're close to getting the last bits, so don't delay. You know what happens to those who fail. She doesn't forget or forgive. D. Ethel looked out at the ruined city as she pondered this latest news. She had been forced by necessity to work through agents, and was careful to choose only men with the blackest of hearts. Still, she could not trust that their selfish impulses might still bring her plan to ruin. She had instructed her agents to employ men to dig the Barrow Downs in secret. They could loot what they wished, but they were to recover specific items. Artifacts that would aid her master to return to power in the north. Combined, they would revive an ancient curse that she would present to her master as a symbol of her undying service, and perhaps more. She pushed that thought aside and stood further back under the outcropping that hid her from the light. Even though a steady rain fell from an overcast sky, she instinctively preferred the shade. Her agents had failed her by letting the items slip through their fingers. They must be recovered. She readied a note and summoned a servant to carry it forth.
With the unearthing of the letter hidden in Bill Fernie's house, it became clear that the events in Bree were part of a larger scheme, one that you're determined to unravel. Your fellowship spends another night in Bree, reasoning that entering the Barrow Downs is best done in daylight hours. After a hearty breakfast, you head towards the seldom-used trails leading directly into the Barrow Downs, and muster your skills to follow a recent set of tracks that you reason might be the mysterious V from the letter. As you pass into the Barrow Downs, just a few hours later, you feel a damp chill rise in the air, like a cold, heavy blanket being laid upon you. Sounds seem not to carry, as you hear only your own voices and footfalls, yet even these cut off sharply, as if you're in a small room rather than an open wild. The low, flat hills loom large, shrouded by the close mist. You hold your cloaks tighter against the cold, though you suspect it comes from within rather than from without. Suddenly there are cries in the distance, the unmistakable sounds of men in terror. With a glance between you and your companions, you decide to follow the sounds. Someone is in trouble, and in this place, you feel duty-bound to answer the call. You increase your speed, though careful not to take a reckless pace to avoid stumbling over an unseen stone or moving headlong into an ambush. You step into a clearing where the mists lighten to find a battered and recently abandoned camp. Tents are torn and items scattered. A campfire still burns, and a few men lie dead, their eyes fixed in horror. Within the mist, you make out shapes darting at the edge of the camp, running about clearly in fright. More still fend off unseen figures that harry them, while still others simply cower. A pale man emerges from the mist and points at your party, his eyes glazed over.
More of them over here!
He shouts.
Fend them off!
More men emerge, brandishing weapons, and attack.
If by life or death I can save you, I will.
Mine is the choice of Luthien.
My axe is restless in my hands.
How may I serve?
No! Stay back!
Denwyn should have been pleased. Valen returned from Bree with the missing artifacts in the nick of time, as his men had recovered the last artifact on Aruethel's list. She was a demanding lady, and Denwyn didn't relish facing her if they failed. If he failed, since he would be the one to bear her wrath, not Valen or that Bill Fernie, from whom he had kept her a secret. Then no sooner had he sent Valen on to deliver the artifacts to her, when a new threat emerged. Aruethel had given specific instructions to avoid certain mounds, but he had to disobey her to find the last item on her list. It was in the barrow of some ancient prince or other. After Valen left, the Barrow Downs grew colder and the fog grew thicker. They heard strange singing, but could not make out the words. Denwyn's men began to disappear, emerging soon after as something else, something not living. A host of the things attacked his camp, and Denwyn fled to the Barrow Downs, wondering if he'd live to see another morning.
You feel an infinite sadness reaching from all around, a longing that weighs on you, making every breath a labor. The spirits that shamble about within the bodies of ancient kings are an affront to life itself, denying the light of morning. You desire to defy them, an anger swelling up from inside. You follow closely behind a group of them, emerging before a cairn to a long-dead noble of Numenor. They drag the limp forms of grave robbers along for some dread purpose, while chanting a tuneless song. Cold be hand and heart and bone, and cold be sleep under stone. Never more to wake on stony bed, never till the sun fails and the moon is dead. In the black wind the stars shall die, and still on gold here let them lie, till the dark Lord lifts his hand over dead sea and withered land. The poor devils may be grave robbers, but you'll not allow them to join the ranks of Shadow. You prepare your weapons and resolve to do what right, shouting, "Elbreth! Gilthoniel!"
serve no man.
Baruch Khazad!
He cannot stand alone.
My arms see everything.
You breathe so loud I could shoot you in the dark. Curse the warmth.
Hammer and tongs! Adonai! I serve the steward of London! Hammer and tongs!
You find the broken entrance to one of the larger barrows, topped by standing stones. A voice beckons from inside. Try as you might, you cannot resist the call, and enter, only to find the place a shambles. Treasures that were once carefully laid in this tomb are strewn about haphazardly, the work of shovels and picks scattered with equal abandon. The robbers had been here, and were none too careful in their work. A voice whispers, "Restore." Though whether it's a request or a command, you're not sure. There are 3 stone piles, once set in specific placement about the place, now scattered. You feel compelled to put them back in their proper order, and step forward when a groan fills the air. What had once been a robber stands in the back of the chamber, his eyes rolled up and his skin pale as milk. He wears a belt with the letter D engraved prominently on the buckle. The creature howls, his fingers bent like claws, as he rushes forward, teeth snapping.
Rivendell!
He cannot stand alone! wings too.
For Rivendell!
Barukazan!
The barrow is your tomb. He cannot stand alone! Time is nigh. He cannot stand alone!
Hell comes not for you. And raise the dark.
The fate of the bearer is in my hands. Go back to the abyss! Fly, you fools! Hammer and tongs!
Our history